Hey everybody, welcome back to the third in the foam roller series of strengthening our stretch. Today I'm going to take you through yet another sequence, and again you can mix and match any of these various moves to support you differently. You can use these flows exactly as they come out, or pick and choose what you need in your body at any given time. Today's sequence is one that I often will turn to when I've had a lot of time sitting at my desk or driving, and it's basically focusing on the back body and really kind of working against how we've been. So beating the hunch, and I've heard it said that if our posture is taken to its correct length, can actually make you look 10 pounds lighter. So it really does benefit us to really get into that correct posture. I mean, aside from the way that our bodies feel when we are in alignment, there's also the aesthetic part of it as well. So to start today, we are going to take our foam roller lengthwise along our mat. We're going to come to sit at the very end and lower ourselves all the way down so that our entire back, from our tailbone all the way to the back of our head, is supported on the foam roller. I like to take my feet, kind of hip width slightly more apart to create some stability so that I can just focus on relaxing, not balancing. And so I'm going to have you bend your elbows at 90 degrees. We're going to bring them out to the side. I call these cactus arms. And so let the arms just kind of soften down, and you can already feel that opening across the chest, that pressure and pushing between the shoulder blades. And then just take the arms and extend them overhead, and then pull them back to that cactus arm. I like to pay attention to where the connection is happening between my body and the foam roller, and really breathe into those muscles, breathe into that space, and really connect with the softening in that area and really the opening as the foam roller works its magic. So, and then I'm going to have you send those arms all the way overhead and come to relax them on the floor. Take your feet maybe just a little bit wider, because we're going to just roll ourselves slightly off to one side. So the hips stay square, the upper body twists in the roll, and then slowly bring it back to center and drop it over to the other side. So you're getting a nice stretch. You can feel it from your hip all the way up into your shoulder, getting that side body loosened off. And once more each side. Take your time, breathe here, feel the stretch. Excellent. And then bringing ourselves back to center. My foam rolling sequences almost always start with a shoulder opener. Shoulders are where I carry most of my stress and tension, and so I always try to play a little bit of favoritism in the shoulder area. Not to mention, my greatest injury in my body happened in my shoulders, and so taking care of that helps me to maintain that fluidity and mobility there. So bringing our arms, forearms resting on the floor, and the hands are palms down. We're creating our stability with our arms here. I'm going to have you tip your pelvis just slightly, and we're going to bring both knees up. So you'll find you're balancing a little bit here, and we're going to point the toes, alternately tapping one and then the other down to the floor. So we're working those core muscles, and if you focus on your sacral area and the low back, as your legs move, you can feel a nice little massage happening in that space. That connection between the foam roller and your lower back, creating a little bit of space there, opening things up, releasing any stress and tension in the low back. Good. Bringing both feet back down to the floor. I'm going to have you take your feet to about hip width apart. Using the arms, we're going to come into a bridge lift, and then I'm going to give you a little cue here that's going to help you create some traction in that low back and help you to create some length and some space between the vertebra. So we're going to squeeze up into a bridge, and immediately here you'll feel the shift in your weight pressing into that space between the shoulder blades, which also feels wonderful. And then I want you to try and drag your knees out over your toes. So pull the knees forward, and you can feel that little bit of traction happening in the low back. And then slowly lower down. Soften everything into it. And then we'll go one more time. So lifting up in the bridge, and then draw the knees forward. You can reach with your crown of your head in the opposite direction and really draw some length into your spine. Nice deep breaths here. Good, and lowering down. Release everything and really think about allowing the back to soften down onto that foam roller. And we're just going to squeeze about 1 inch to 1.5 inches to the left, ease back to center, and then squeeze 1 inch to 1.5 inches to the right. And we'll go one more time on each side, just pressing those muscles away from their connective stuff on the spine and really just loosening up the back body. Excellent. We're going to take ourselves off the side of the foam roller, bring yourself up to seated. We're going to come to the center of our mat. We're going to bring the foam roller just below our shoulder blades. Feet are about hip width apart, and we're just going to take our hands and support our neck, lace them behind your head, lifting the hips and rounding the spine. We're going to roll all the way up and over the shoulder blades, and then take yourself down your back. You never want to go below your ribs here, so stay on the rib supported portion of your spine and just allow your body to move over the foam roller. And again here, if you get into a bit of a twisting action, you can come right over top of those shoulder blades, taking yourself all the way down and back up. I'm going to have you bring yourself to just below the shoulder blades again. Release the hips back to the floor and bring the feet in. We're going to take a nice deep breath, and as we do, we're going to arch back over the foam roller. As we exhale, we're going to round and crunch. Inhale, lower back. Exhale, up and crunch. You can feel that length created in the front of your body. Exhale, nice little massage into the lower back, the thoracic back with the foam roller. Good, last one. Excellent. We'll bring ourselves forward. This one is particularly difficult for me. My mobility on my shoulders gets really challenged, but I do it because it's very helpful at the end of the day. So sitting up nice and straight with your foam roller out behind you, open up the shoulders, rotate externally. We're going to just roll backwards slightly, all right? And then turn the head from side to side, roll it back in. You can really feel this one in the triceps and in the shoulder rotation. Taking it all the way back, whatever your all the way is, side to side, bring it in. Good, once more, all the way back. And some people will be able to go much further than me. My rotation doesn't work quite as deeply as it used to. So we're going to pull the foam roller in to just behind our hips, and we're going to lift ourselves up and over. So from my hip point, I should be able to come down and find the foam roller directly behind my hips. I'm going to have you hang on to the outside edge of your foam roller, and I always like to create some space here, so lengthen my spine as long as I can Wiggle around until you feel like you've got some length happening. Then come to hanging on to the outside edge of the foam roller. We're going to bring both knees up. Squeezing the knees together, we're going to roll across our hips out back. So keeping the shoulders planted and always kind of turning the head the opposite direction that you're dropping your legs. Back to center, over to the other side. So we'll make a few passes here, kind of squeezing out these muscles. Good, and then I'm going to have you come back to center. We're going to squeeze both legs together and drop them over to about 10 o'clock. With the toes pointed, we're going to alternately tap one foot and then the other down to the floor. Bringing them back up, we're going to squeeze the legs together and we're going to trace a small circle with the knees. And this is kind of a kneading action into the back of the hip, the upper part of the glute, and then change directions. And you can do any of these moves for as long as you want. And bring yourself back to center. We're going to drop over to about 2 o'clock, alternately tapping one foot and then the other down to the floor. And you can go nice and slow here and really savor that little massage that's happening. Both knees coming together, trace those small circles. It may feel really awful before it starts to feel good. And I always will say to clients, the more that you're experiencing pain in this process, the more you need it. All right, so lengthen out the spine again. This little bit of traction that's happening, these are inversions, and so this little bit of traction that's happening is creating length in your spine. And so I'm often making adjustments to where my upper body is to create space for that newfound length. All right, so we're going to take a nice deep breath. We're going to exhale both legs all the way over to the left. So plant the shoulders, take the legs as far over to the left as you can. And then I want you to slowly extend that top leg. And it just adds to the leverage of your twist. So nice deep breaths here. As we're detoxing, these twists are so important. Gentle massages for our internal organs. Good, and then slowly bend that leg back in. We're going to pull up and then drop it over to the other side. So taking it all the way over to the right, planting the shoulders, turning the head over the left shoulder, and slowly extend that top leg out. All right, so the weight shift of the leg just adds to the deep stretch here and the twist. A few nice deep breaths here. Slowly bending that leg and bringing it back in. We're going to come back up to our center spot. We're going to send both feet down onto the floor. And I'm going to have you roll the foam roller into the small of your back. So your tailbone sacrum is hanging off of one end and your ribs are off of the other. And just that small round of your back is arched over top of your foam roller. So again, we're going to hang on to the outside edge of the foam roller, and I always hold the foam roller in place while I'm transitioning my positions, just to keep it in spots where I want it to be. So I'm going to have you bring both knees up. We're going to bring the hands then to the knees, and this small area of our back is a difficult place to actually roll, but we can do some movements here that will give that nice gentle massage that we want in that low back, especially if it's tired or tense. After sitting for long periods of time, you want to create some space here. So we're going to draw the knees in towards the chest, and as you do, you're going to feel the roller along that 2 to 3 inches of spine. Push the knees away and then draw them back in. So nice and slow here. Take your time. A little love for the small of your back. Good, once more. And the other thing that I like to do here in this space is draw the knees all the way up, then open them to the outside and come up in that straddle. So come around in those nice big hip circles and just get the most out of that small of your back, and then change directions. So knees are going to push away from your chest, open out in a straddle, and then draw up. So it takes you to the outside edges of the lower back, takes you into the outer edges of your hips, and it feels so amazing. Good, last one. And we're going to bring both feet back down to the floor. We're going to lift up and send the foam roller away. After I've done that series on my back, I like to just bring my foam roller all the way back around to the top, set it into the crook of my neck so that the entire back of my neck is supported. I'm going to extend myself out into a Shavasana pose, allowing my legs to relax, taking my arms, palms up off my body. And I'm going to let the weight of my shoulders pull, and you can immediately feel the traction happening in the back of your neck. Slowly turning your head from side to side is going to give your neck that extra little bit of TLC to loosen up, and gently massage all of those little muscles that are holding your head up all day. Good, and then coming back to center, the last thing I do is I shift the foam roller. I don't roll it, I push it, and I push it until the base of my skull is actually hooked on top of the foam roller, and I just allow then nothing is on my neck, so it's just pure traction from the base of my skull. Nice deep breaths and allowing that traction to support your neck stretch. And after a few breaths of that, I will lift my head, send the foam roller back, and bring myself back into Shavasana, allowing myself to settle into the adjustments and just let my body be in this new alignment. And so I hope you're enjoying this series. I hope you're finding a new relationship with your foam roller, and I look forward to sharing even more next week. See you then.